like she said, thank you. And I had to also come from Lokhandwala. Normally it takes me 45 minutes, it took me 2 hours. I got fed up on 15th Road, I got out of the car and I walked. My car is still stuck somewhere, probably, I don't know, I just walked. So, anyway, like she said, passion and profession. So we take out a new word, वैसे ही बम्बई में profession. हमारे यहाँ वैसे ही बोलते हैं इंडिया में profession क्या हाँ. So now we can call it a profession because yeah, profession and a passion. So this particular, she told me and I agreed with her. This excerpt from the book is uh, very emotional, also leaves you with an understanding of where this book is headed and what is the kind of soul of this book. So I'll just read it out. It was 2 o'clock. Matthew's half-open eyes were fixated on the wall clock, trying to calculate how long he had been sleeping. He felt far more relaxed than the 5 hours of sleep he calculated it to be. He checked his phone for missed calls and messages more out of a habit than the need for it. There were a few unimportant calls and just one message from Vidushi saying his dinner was in the refrigerator. He sat up and reached out to grab the bottle of water kept on the table, but instead, his fingers brushed up against a thick paper envelope. It took him a few seconds to recollect what it was. When he did recall, he wanted to pull his hands away, but for some reason his fingers lingered on, stroking the letter distractedly. When he had put the letter down on a nightstand a few hours ago, he was sure he wasn't going to be dealing with it for quite some time. But this moment, he felt as if he could not wait any longer. There were answers he had sought all these years, things he deserved to know. The letter inside the envelope may now be the only way to ever know it. The only reason he had stayed away from the truth all those years wasn't because of his aversion to knowing it, but to the presence of the person dispensing it. Now, with her gone, there was no need to wait anymore. And it wasn't like he had to tell anyone that he'd read it if he didn't want to discuss it further. Before his typical apathy could command his hands to pull away, his heart guided him to grab the envelope and rip it open. He closed his eyes, drew a deep breath, and started to read it. My dearest Matthew. Matthew's eyes, parched for years, welled up at the sight of his mother's handwriting. The way a child remembers the flavor of his mother's cooking or the way she smelled when he hugged her. Matthew's memories of his mother were made up of the nuances of her handwriting, the unusually long loops for her G's and Y's, and the way she crowned her eyes with a small circle instead of a dot. For the better part of his life, the only communication he had with his mother was through her letters. The letters that he waited eagerly for at the hostel reception on the 1st and the 15th of every month when the students would be handed out their regular mail, yet never responded to. The ones he had kept safely in an old shoebox on the top shelf of his closet, yet told no one about it. The shoebox that he always sneaked a look at to make sure it was there whenever he opened his closet, yet never touched. He wiped his tears and continued, resolving to read the rest of the letter far more impassively and objectively. Too much to know yet, too early to get all stirred up and lose perspective. I know of no other way to start this letter but by saying that I love you so very much. I know you probably won't believe me. I hope that will change by the end of this letter, at least in some small way. As I write this, I am overwhelmed with the realization that I don't deserve any gesture of kindness from you, even the smallest one, like accepting this letter. So, thank you, my son. for accepting and reading it nevertheless. For years, I have waited to speak to you about everything. The more the years passed by, more convinced I got that I do not have the courage to look into your eyes and tell you how painfully aware I am of my failures as a mother. So I decided to let this letter do that for me. That was odd. From the moment Matthew had heard that a letter like this existed, he hardly expected it to be anything more than a rant of a dejected and infuriated mother comminating him for being a horrible son. But an earnest confession of her mistakes, and that too at the very onset of the letter? That wasn't what he had expected in the least. It only fanned his curiosity to read further. Perhaps you'd think I'm a coward. Of the many things that you would consider me to be by the end of this letter, and of the many amongst them I intend to plead innocent of, that is the one I will never dispute. I have been a big coward all my life, and perhaps this cowardice was the biggest reason why our lives turned out like they did. There's so much that I want to say here, all at once, that I'm afraid I might end up saying nothing at all. I don't even know where to start. So please bear with me. I will start from the beginning. Thank you.